What's going on, guys and gals? Welcome to episode 109 of the Workprint's Gamescast, brought to you by theworkprint.com. As always, I'm your host, Rob, and I'm being joined by my faithful co-host slash producer, Bilal. What's up, Bilal?
I don't like you. One bit. I said it last week. You're a drug dealer. You're a peddler. You've ruined people's lives with
All
your
right,
addictions.
we'll go into detail on why Bilal is blaming me for his own actions. First, let's introduce our third co-host for this episode, James. What's up, James?
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right.
Thank you for pulling me out from under that rock. I've been under there for a long time. So it's nice to see the sun again.
Yeah, it's funny. We used to joke about the ghost of James, and he really did
Right.
just straight up ghost us.
I did.
He's like, I'm sick of these guys.
Yeah, because I podcasted for like what a good solid 3 some years, something like that, and then just got busy with life and just didn't have time.
I think it's very fitting that you chose October to be revived.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean that kind of happened to all of us, right? I mean, this show was gone for however long, and then yeah, we got to the point where Bilal and I decided that yeah, life happens, right? And so if life happens, then life takes precedent. But otherwise, it's an excuse for us to get together and hang out and talk about the stuff we love. And so we brought it
That's
back,
right.
and we've been taking it a little bit less. Um,
Serious?
no, I still think we take it
Oh
serious.
yeah,
I just think we're not quite as precious about it anymore, right? Like,
yeah.
yes, we would love to be consistent, love to be every week. We'd love to be streaming 5 nights a week. But at this point, we're doing what we can, and we're just doing it for fun, which is first and foremost. And
Somebody should have told me that we were trying to stream 5 nights a week before I decided to have a kid.
Yeah, that kind of gets in the way.
Or got married, maybe. Maybe that would have been the better one.
But James, it's nice to have you back on the show. For those who don't know, who are newer to the show and the podcast, James had been doing his own podcast, Life of Gaming podcast. He invited me on the show one time, and it's kind of part of the reason why I got so into podcasting and kind of got that bug for it. I think Bilal and I had already been doing some stuff. I don't know if we had been podcasting yet, but we had been writing reviews and doing stuff like that, and I had been making some YouTube content at the time. But James was doing the podcast, and then eventually he was doing his and co-hosting on ours as well, when he could make it. And so yeah, so this is just a welcome return to for James, and I think we're gonna be seeing him on the podcast more often. I hope, at least.
Yeah, glad to be back. It's like I said, it's been too long.
All right, so enough about the past. Let's talk about the present and what we've been playing. I'll go ahead and kick it off, just get us going, because I don't have a ton that's new. I've continued to play Overwatch 2. I did my damage placements. Did I talk about my placements last week, Lau, or no? Did I talk to you about it privately?
I think that was when I was working and doing the most annoying
Yes.
assignment. And then
Yes.
you sent me a party invite, and you're like, "Hey, let's play Grounded." And I was like, "No, I really can't. I'm in the zone." And so we just sat there chatting while I worked on a very annoying spreadsheet.
Yeah. So, James, I know that you're also playing Overwatch 2. Have you done any of the competitive?
A little bit. So, when it first came out, I know like you guys talked about it last time. I couldn't get into matches, right? I would get into the load
Right.
screen. It'd be like, you're number 2,200 or whatever, and I would just sit there and it wouldn't load. Eventually, it started working. Then my characters got all transferred. I played, I want to say like 5 or 6 competitive matches. I've been choosing healing class every time because you get bonus
Okay.
XP for that. So
Yes.
I've played, at least on the competitive side, I've been Baptiste each time. I've won every game, which has been nice. On the arcade side, going back to favorites, playing as Tracer and playing as Orisa and going back to that kind of stuff. Although a lot of the characters I use in Overwatch 1, like Orisa, moveset totally changed, right?
Yes,
And just like
right.
having only one tank, way different.
Yeah. No, agreed, 100%. I actually I talked about this last week, so I won't go into it again, but I like all the changes they've made. But yeah, I went and did my competitive placements. The way you get placed is instead of playing a set number of matches and then basing off your performance or record, you now get placed after 7 wins or 20 losses, whichever comes first. I played my placement matches. I think I went 7-2, something like that. and in damage, and I got placed bronze 3, which is not quite the lowest, but 2 steps above the lowest you can be placed. And
I can't
then
imagine where I will be placed.
and then I played 7 more, actually like won my next 7, and then got boosted up to silver 2. So it did make a huge jump. I still feel like silver 2 is a little bit low. And then lo and behold, recently the developers came out and said that there was a glitch that was placing everybody way too low on their placements. And so hopefully now, once I finish this next set of placements, I will be at an appropriate level. I kind of don't mind it. I think Bilal mentioned it when I was talking to him privately. It is kind of fun to be, playing in matches where other people are bronze, even though I don't feel like I'm a bronze. Although now, like I said, I'm a silver. And so, yeah, I've been finding actually a lot of success in competitive, and it's been a good time. I've really been enjoying it. It just like any competitive game, there are times where you get really frustrated when it feels like people aren't playing their roles necessarily. Um, but yeah, I'm enjoying my time with it so far. And not to go too long on Overwatch 2, but James, you would say you're enjoying yourself as well?
Oh yeah, yeah, having a good time. Like, um, just playing healing class, Baptiste and Yada a lot. On my side for that. Um, and I think I played damage one time, maybe twice, and I
Mhm.
think I was Pharah once, Tracer once. I know last time you mentioned you like to switch characters a lot on the fly. I'm the kind of
Yeah,
person like I get a character, I'm gonna stick with it and try to make it through the match if I can,
yeah.
which doesn't always work out.
Yeah, so I think for the most part, healing roles are actually okay with kind of sticking with. I mean, I think there are situations where you do want to make the switch once you know all the characters and you understand like which characters
Right.
counter which. I think that's part of the reason why I like competitive is because I like that the mental aspect and the mind games behind like, oh, I've been playing Pharah, I dominated that first round. Now they're coming out and they're Sojourn and 76 or
Mhm.
McCree and 76, like people who hit scan who can focus me and take me out of the air pretty quickly. So now let me switch over to Sombra, or let me switch over to 76 myself and just be Call of Duty guy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, no, I've really been enjoying that aspect. The other game I've been playing, and again, won't spend too much time on it, is I've been playing The Quarry. I think Bilal, we talked about this last time on the podcast, how I had started it. I think I gave you a hard time because I thought we were gonna play together, but you went ahead and played that whole thing without me.
Listen,
Uh,
I had a great time. I streamed it.
I I and I think I finished chapter 8, so I'm on chapter 9. So I'm like
You're
only a
almost
couple,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
only a couple chapters left. Um, I enjoy these type of games. It's that time of the year, where I'm excited to play spooky games. I think when it is spooky, it does a really good job. I like the I like the particular horror story that they're telling right now. I it's funny. I went back and read like some reviews last night after I finished my PlayStation just to see what like other people thought of it. And I saw some reviews that were like, "Oh, it's helped out by its fantastic writing." And I think the writing is awful.
It's
Like,
it's passive. It's what I expect out of one of these. Like
but it's just so like, granted, in my opinion, classic horror, campy horror has some like campy lines, but it feels like every single character, except for Brenda Song's character, is trying their hardest to be unlikable. And it like especially the guys,
oh my god, Justice Smith's character is just like,
yeah.
have you
Yeah.
never talked or interacted with a human
Yeah.
before?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's I think all the guy characters actually have their moments where it's just like this is not nobody's like this, you know? Um But nevertheless, I am enjoying my time with it, and I am excited to see the conclusion. I will say that I was a little cold on it when it first started, but I think by the time the horror part of the story and the setup of the characters was kind of done, I was all in, and I'm kind of all in.
So I think you bring up like the characters, like nobody is like these characters, or like they're trying too hard. But I think like with some of the characters that is the case because they're at camp and this is like the version of themselves that they're trying to portray. But I do get it's like it's very much at an extreme
Right,
with some of them.
right. Like, all right, not for nothing, but this game is half a year old at this point. something like that, right?
Yeah.
Actually, maybe it's not even that old. Did it come out in August? Ew.
I think it's like June or July, right?
Time
Anyway,
is a flat circle.
Something like
So
that. Well,
anyway,
it makes me really better. I still haven't purchased it yet. I'm still playing through Dark Pictures Anthology from Ashes, the third game. I haven't finished that yet. So
I
June.
haven't played the. I actually haven't played the third game either. I finished those first two. I haven't played the third one in that. But I hopped over to this one because this one, everybody was talking about. This was like a return to form to them and closer to what was the first Until Dawn.
Yeah.
And so hopped into this. There's actually, I mean, to your point, there's a character that flat out says that they're like putting on a front, right? But even still, it's a terrible front, and it's just like I don't know. That really like kind of takes me out of it sometimes. But it also kind of drives me crazy, and I understand, right? These people you're playing these different characters, and they're making decisions, and they don't know what's going on. But I know what's going on. I've seen all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And so the game forces you sometimes to do things and make decisions that you already know isn't what you should be doing in that situation because you know some things that those characters don't know or whatever. And so I get a little frustrated with that sometimes.
Have you found a lot of the tarot cards at all during your playthrough?
I think I had one chapter where I didn't find any.
Okay.
And then every other chapter I've found at least one. And I think in the most recent one I found two or whatever.
I think like the first couple of chapters I didn't find any at all, and then I was like, what am I supposed to be finding here? Because during those like scenes in between the chapters, and then when
she's
I finally,
like mad at you.
Yeah, she's like, open your eyes. Like, no, it's it's definitely a good time. I haven't played the Dark Pictures anthology games, but I do want to get to them. It's just priorities right now.
Yeah, I will say so far that this one is better than those first two that I played. And so to say that this is the best thing I've played from them since Until Dawn would be correct. But all right, I've been playing one more thing, but we'll wait because it's something that all three of us have been playing, and I think it's the one that we're gonna want to talk about the most. Let's go ahead and get to James. James, what else have you been playing besides Overwatch 2?
Sure. So we talked about Overwatch 2. One of the things I've been doing with the Assassin's Creed 15-year anniversary that just happened, like, man, I haven't played the Assassin's Creed games in a while. So I've just kind of been slowly playing the series, like since that last month. So I played the first one, which actually holds up pretty well because like on the Series X, like it ups the frame rate and like like
does
up-res
auto
everything.
HDR,
it ups the like all that. It just looks way nicer and plays really well. So I've played through that. I played through Assassin's Creed 2, and now I'm almost done with Brotherhood. And I haven't played that like in a long time, like really long time. But like playing through them again, it's just interesting, like remembering these games and why I love the series so much because they've changed so much since that like original, you know, the way they played originally. So I'm looking forward to Mirage. I've always liked the series, although I never finished Valhalla. That game is way too big.
No one has finished Valhalla. It's impossible. No, you think you did.
It's like 200 hours.
We've talked about this on the podcast before. I really do hope that they go back to, even if they keep some of the RPG elements that they've brought into the franchise since, I just want them to go back towards an appropriate and a suitable game length, right? Yeah. I feel like they're just too content rich at this point, to the point where like what ends up happening is I just get overwhelmed. And then it's like, I don't want to come back to this because I feel like I still have so much ahead of me and I haven't made significant progress. I understand that there are some games where there's some games that do this really, really well, right? Where like Elden Ring's a massive, massive game. I always felt like I was making progress. You know, even if I knew I wasn't close to the finish line, I still felt that feeling of like accomplishment. And I don't think I can say the same about Assassin's Creed necessarily, even though that game is essentially, you know, one of those checklists, the game. So I do hope that they kind of rein it back a little bit and we start getting back to a length that is like Brotherhood, which in my opinion is the best game in the franchise still. And so
it's interesting you say that because I remember Brotherhood being like in my top two or three, and playing through it again. I'm like, because like just playing them back to back.
Yeah.
I think I like, at least of the 3 I've played so far, I think Assassin's Creed 2 is better, which I don't remember liking it better, but I think Assassin's Creed 2 is better because Brotherhood is to the point where now when I open up the game and look at the map, it's just like icons everywhere. Like
Yeah,
there's
right.
just
That
so
was like
much
the start
stuff.
of it.
And so I
Yeah.
have to go into the map options every time and turn a bunch of stuff off just to find my missions. Or like, to go somewhere. And like, I love the idea in Brotherhood where you're like, you're rejuvenating the city, you're opening stores, and you're,
Yeah.
building this Brotherhood of Assassins. I love that part. But like there's like no story. Like I'm playing it, I'm like, it's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm enjoying it, but I think I like 2 better as of right now. I'm kind of like keeping a ranked list in an Excel sheet and like making notes, just to kind of, because it's been so long since I played through them.
Nice. I'm excited for you to finish all of them and then give me your final listing so I can tell you why you're wrong.
I
All right. What else?
I just want to say, James, I am shocked anyone can play Assassin's Creed games back to back without wanting to like. I honestly, I think that's torture. Like, I love these games, I love the franchise, but like. After I like 100% Origins, then like 2 years later, 100% Odyssey.
That's also your
That's
problem.
100%.
Okay, but
That's right.
okay,
You're out there
yes.
100%ing.
Okay, but like those you could do like in like 60 to 80 hours. Valhalla came around 2 years after Odyssey, and I was like, and at that point I was like, this is too much. Like, and I never got past the starting island, and yeah, it's just,
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see how long I hold out. Because I mean, like right now, I'm only 3 games in. I'm almost done with Brotherhood. I'm like 2 chapters or so from the end. But I'm ready to, after 2 of the 3 games, I know I'm going to be Ezio. I'm like, okay, I'm almost done with the Ezio story. Let's like Ezio is obviously the most popular assassin for a reason. That's why I got 3 games. So we'll see. We'll see how long I make it. How far into the series I go. My plan is to go through all of them over time.
I never even finished. What is it? Revelations? Is that the next one?
I loved Revelations. The story ending for that was so nice.
Now, all I remember about Revelations is hating the tower defense stuff. So we'll see if I feel the same way.
Okay, I know people had big complaints about that, but I only had to do it like 2 times in that entire game, and I never understood why people made such a big deal about it.
I don't think I mind that at all. I just didn't like the whole
Desmond arc wrapping up.
No, because it doesn't wrap up till 3. The whole Desmond,
right.
the whole like Desmond kind of being broken, and there being that like remnant of the.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah,
god,
so
I forgot all about that.
Yes.
Yeah,
So that's the kind of stuff that was just like, yeah, I'm not. This isn't doing it for me. All right. So what else? What else have you been dipping in?
Sure. Other than that, like we talked about Overwatch 2, playing that. But one thing I've been doing lately that I've just kind of found over the last few years, just not having as much time as I used to, which is kind of funny because I'm slowly playing through Assassin's Creed, which can obviously get a lot bigger. Playing a lot of indie titles, right? Like last year, I think it was last year, Death's Door was like my favorite. I think last year? It was last year.
Door. Yes, it was
That
last
was like
year.
my favorite game of the year. This year, like I loved Tinykin, 100% it, thought it was great. And I just finished Beacon Pines, which was actually a really good game. It's a lot of fun. It's just this. It's kind of a horror mystery. It's very strange, right? Because the animation is kind of like a kid's game. It's got this nice narrator. It's got this great feel of the game. But then like don't want to spoil it, but like there's horror elements in it and there's language in it. So I'm like, it's more for adults. So I'm like, where is this game kind of falling?
And what style of game is it specifically? Is this an adventure game or?
Yeah, I guess it'd be an adventure game. Like you're literally walking through a storybook and like the pages will turn and a narrator will come up and like read something, like kind of explain part of the story to you. And then as you play through the game, you learn different words. So like, trying to think what were some options. Like you'll learn fight or you'll learn flight, right? And so like you come to this section and say, in this section, you chose to do this. And like, so you can choose one of these options, right? And then you can see this narrative tree, a literal tree that like branches off in one direction. And then later, if you want to, you can go back, change your choice and see how the other branch kind of plays out. But you do hit areas in the story that are like dead ends. Like, oh no, the story should have ended that way. Let's go back. And so you'll go back and like, you can see which words you haven't used in which places. I think it's like 20 or so words you find throughout, and you can like fit them in different places.
And how long did it take you to beat?
Oh, geez. Less than 10 hours.
Okay, cool.
It's short. Like it's a good, easy game. And like I said, it's got a great feel to it. After I finish it, I'm like, this is a really good game. I really like this a lot. Just the mix of everything, like the art style, the narration, the story. Like it had some good moments. You're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Like it had some pretty good moments in it.
All right, nice. Yeah, I'll definitely give this a
Yeah,
shot.
and it was great. It's on Game Pass on PC and Xbox. I mean, that's how I play most of my stuff now. If it's on Xbox, I'll at least try it.
No,
On
that's
Game Pass, I mean.
yeah. No, that's kind of where I've been at as well. Like the things that I've downloaded on PC on the console, just to dabble in. And so, like, I actually next week I'll be talking about another Game Pass game that came out this week that I haven't been able to boot up yet, but is appropriate for this time of year.
Now, I will say, everyone keeps telling me download Persona 5, and I'm like, I don't have like 100+ hours to invest in this game.
Listen,
I know how big it is. I know it's a massive game. But I'm like,
I don't either.
Listen, James. Listen, you're replaying Assassin's Creed. You have that time.
Well, like when I'm hopping in playing like one mission here or there over time, it doesn't take me that long.
You just do a day or two.
And on the shorter games.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, and then I see here on the list that you've also been doing a little Fall Guys.
Yeah, so there's certain games my wife and I would play together. Sea of Thieves, one of them. We actually still love Sea of Thieves. Play a ton of that a lot still. But we also we were playing Fortnite for a while, and she kind of fell off on that. But now we're playing Fall Guys. She loves Fall Guys. So we're just playing a lot of that. I had a PS4, but I never got into Fall Guys then because that was on PS5. I'm trying to remember when that came out.
No, PS4.
PS4. Yeah, I had a PS4 but never played it. But then sold the PS4, and then it came obviously free to play to Xbox recently. It's on the second season now. We're just playing through it together a lot, like doing all the different challenges and having friends play with us, and we're having a great time.
They had this
It's just dumb fun to play. Just dumb fun to kind of level up.
Have you tried out this Wormhole event? I
have not. No, I haven't played it this week at all. But I know they're constantly adding stuff, and I will say my wife is so funny because she'll know there's certain like characters I like, and she'll just go in the store and just buy them for me. And so, like I'll turn my game on and like I'll have the monkey ball skin, or I'll have what did she get recently? Like the Star Trek, the Spock skin. Like she'll just buy me random skins in the game, and so I'll never know what's gonna happen when I turn the game on.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's sweet.
All right. Bilal, before we get into the game we've all...
Yeah, before we do that, I have to ask James something. James, so as we were catching up on Discord, you mentioned you got a pre-order in for the Logitech Cloud G?
The G Cloud, yeah, I did.
G Cloud, okay. So that thing comes in around like $350. I'm very curious why you went that route versus like a Steam Deck.
So the reason I went with that is, like we talked about in Discord, Bing credit, Xbox credit, because I have like a year of like over a year of streaks on Xbox and Bing. I've got all this credit and Xbox like gift cards for my birthday all the way back in July. I put all that together, and you can use all that to buy stuff on the Microsoft Store. So it cost me $57. So I'm like, super cheap. I'm gonna check it out. But the main reason I got it, because like we talked about before, we've got an Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. I use the X, my wife uses the S. But most of the time, like I'm the one on the TV, and sometimes she's like, well, I want to use the TV this time. And I'm like, it'd be great if I can just stream my Xbox to a handheld and just play it like that,
Yeah.
And from what it does, just like that's what I'm going to use it for. I'm going to use it to stream my Xbox to the screen. I mean, maybe I'll play some Android games on it, occasionally, but it's mainly just going to be a streaming device for me. Like not even the Game Pass cloud streaming, but actual like in-house streaming.
Yeah, right.
Because like I do that to my phone, and I don't have it here anywhere, but I've got a Razer Kishi, right? But it's so small it cramps up my hands. I'd much rather have something that's more comfortable to hold to play long term. Because what I've heard from some people, like early play testing of this, one guy said he had like 2 weeks and had to charge it once. It's like 12 hours or more battery life because all it does is screen. There's not a lot of horsepower. Yeah, so it doesn't burn through battery. And I'm like, that'd be great just to pick it up, sit down, play some stuff, turn it off. So I mean, I'm looking forward to try it out. And then, like I said, the main reason I got it over the Steam Deck was because I didn't have to pay a lot of money for it out of pocket. Like I said, Bing credit, Xbox credit, it adds up really fast. Like I used a lot of my credit to get this back in September, and here we are, middle of October, and I've almost got, I've got $15, $20 in credit again. Damn. So it just adds up. And when you buy stuff at the Microsoft Store, those points can add to your credit again. So it's just like this thing that just keeps on churning for me and getting me free stuff.
Phil Spencer just texted me. He said the cash and the
Oh,
check are
that's right, that's
on
right.
their way.
Although I will say it came out Monday, and here we are Wednesday, and I just got my shipping information for it this afternoon.
No,
So
that's
it's supposed to be here like end of the week. So we'll see.
that's
I
awesome. I'm curious to hear how that all goes.
just a
I'm looking forward to it.
just a little side note. So you mentioned having the Razer Kishi. I had a Kishi. I have this other like to me it's like a no-name brand 'cause I hadn't heard about them before. And I've been trying to find like the perfect way to like use because my phone is massive, right?
Mhm.
And so if I can get something that fits on here comfortably, like that's the way. The problem is that almost all of those things require you to take the case off.
Yep.
And
Mine,
so
yep. I got to take the case off
yeah,
mine.
so
Yeah.
funny enough, Turtle Beach actually announced their version of that, and it is instead of having like a an elastic like band holding it together, it is two separate pieces that clip on and is adjustable, so that you, in theory, you can play with a case on.
Oh,
And so
nice.
I'm curious to see how what people say about that one and how that one feels, because that would be great if I could keep a case on and actually
Yeah,
have to
because
be able to play with one of those.
the biggest issue with my phone now, because I got my Kishi on a different phone.
Mhm.
I've got the Google Pixel 6 now, and it's got that
Yeah.
big camera bump on the back.
Right.
So
Yep.
I not only got to take it out of the case, but I'd like pull the rubber part out of the one side just to make it to fit the phone. So it's still kind of like awkward and doesn't like hold it
Yep.
right. And plus, if I stream too long, like the phone gets hot and all this stuff. So I'm like, and it kills the battery. So I'm like, I just want a standalone handheld. Another reason why I went to cloud. I'm like, I want a standalone handheld to use at home.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've thought about it. There's that one, and there's also Razer. What's that? The Razer Edge,
Oh,
whatever got
yeah.
announced.
The Razer Edge is just, from what I understand, it's a tablet with the Kishi that snaps on like Joy Cons. I think, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that is what it is. Except it's their like new version of the Kishi that
Mhm.
my understanding is it only fits that, and
I think
so
so. Yeah.
but yeah, I'm interested to see what happens in that market because
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. But then, as Bilal alluded to, you've also got the Steam Deck, which isn't
Right.
like that much more money, and so I'm curious to see
Yeah,
like
and so like I could tell you, and James, you probably already know this. It's like the in-house streaming is so much better than the XCloud in terms of
yeah.
performance.
Right. Yeah.
Just in general. But like what I found is even with the Steam Deck, because I've been playing Plague Tale Innocence, I was hoping to finish it before Requiem came out, so I could talk about Requiem today, but we'll talk about what happened there. But like it plays great. So like I grabbed Plague Tale on Steam. Like I found like a $9 key, and I started it back up there. It plays great, but like I always feel like the joysticks just maybe it's just Plague Tale. Like it just wasn't as accurate as I would like it to be in that form
Yeah.
factor. Sometimes I
Right.
just wish like when whoever like designs these like controllers and stuff would just cut an Xbox controller in half and just like
Yeah.
stick it on the sides, like
Well,
that, or
right.
like a
Yeah.
DualSense, like
Yeah.
that's essentially what I want.
I mean, to this
yeah.
day, the best experience I have when I do that stuff is when I'm not a lazy POS and I actually use like the controller with the snap-on holder that holds my
Sure.
phone
Yeah.
and then hold it like that. Granted, it's also not the most comfortable thing because it is top heavy, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I have one of
But
those as well. Yeah.
yeah, but it is like as far as controlling is concerned, it's still the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Um,
will say with the streaming though, like if even streaming at home, like if I'm playing something like Assassin's Creed, like in bed and I've got the
mhm,
Kishi on the phone, I'm just playing Assassin's Creed, runs great. I mean, there's a very, very tiny hint of latency you can notice every once in a while,
Yeah.
and
right.
it makes the character almost feel a little heavier.
Mhm,
But if you're playing an online game, right? Like I don't really notice it in Fall Guys, but like the other day I tried to play Overwatch in bed on my
Mm,
phone, and you notice it. Like it's playable. It's
yeah.
100% playable,
yeah.
but the lag is noticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
So
they're
that's the
just
only because you're doing like you're running the internet for the game, you're also running the internet to stream to
yeah.
your phone. It's just like even though I have everything hardwired, it's still just it causes some trouble.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean the infrastructure still isn't there where this is going to be. I don't
Right.
like I always said, I don't think the foreseeable future is going to have us supplanting physical local games with streaming games. The infrastructure is just not there. But as an add-on proposition, the way that Game Pass does it, and oh man, I saw somebody else talking about having Netflix was talking about having
It's
a
in this.
cloud streaming
Yep.
solution.
Mhm.
It's in our
Yeah,
stories.
and Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. And so, see, there's a reason I host now.
Spoiler.
Yeah. There's yeah, as an add-on proposition, I think it's awesome, and I
Yeah.
think that also allows you to overlook a lot of its shortcomings.
Yeah, and like it's the Stadia thing. Like
Yeah.
I thought Stadia was a great service, but it's not somewhere where I would want to spend $60 and buy a game where I can't download and at least play it locally.
Right.
Yeah, and so like I played a lot of Immortals Phoenix Rising on that, and I thought it worked great. And then when I got home, I would well, my cloud save from UPlay was there, and I played it locally off of UPlay on my, or is it Ubisoft Club? I forget what they call it now.
Ah,
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
All right. So how much were you able to actually play a decent amount of Plague Tale in a
Yeah,
sense, or?
yeah. So I started off on the PC, 4K, looked beautiful, and then I brought it. Then I jumped on the bus, and I know last week I said I didn't enjoy playing the Steam Deck on the bus because I was getting motion sickness. Not the Steam Deck's fault. It just turns out the bus and Jersey roads are terrible, and I get motion sickness regardless. So I was like, okay, let me play this, and it played great. Even like running it, like you can mess around with the settings and like get your preference. I just threw it on low or medium to get like a 60 frames per second, and it looks and plays great. Like it has the cloud save options. I was very impressed with just kind of being able to pick up a PC game and just continue with it. I plan on continuing to play and finishing it up this weekend. It's not too long of a game.
Is this one like stealth heavy? Like
It
the first
is.
one was?
Oh no,
All right,
this is the first one. Innocence is the first one. I mean,
okay,
yeah.
right.
Yeah. I haven't tried Requiem yet. Well,
Okay.
what I've decided to do, because I found a tutorial on it, is on the Steam Deck you can actually dual boot, and I think you can run Windows 11 off a SD card. And so my idea is anything that's on PC Game Pass, I'll just boot it
Putting
into
it on there.
Windows, and
Yeah, that's
that
great.
way I could play that locally instead of having to rely on a internet connection for xCloud. So.
Sorry, I looked over at the chat. That's interesting. I'm thinking about trying that second one and just skipping over the first one and see if the second one maybe isn't as stealth focused. But anyway, all right. So let's get into what we've been alluding to since the beginning of the show. The game that all three of us are playing. I mean, technically, I've been playing this for like 4 or 5 months now. Bilal, since you seem to have stuck the needle all the way in your arm, what else have you been playing?
There's this game you were talking about that I was half listening to because it was on Android only at the time, and it sounded interesting.
And in
But
closed beta, wasn't it just on
and
Android
yeah,
only?
closed beta, yes, the one I was
Yeah.
invited to, but I just can't live that Android life.
Uh-huh.
And so Marvel Snap is finally out on iOS and Android as a 1.0, and it's early access on Steam. It's it's not a TCG. They call it a card battler. You're not opening packs.
You're not trading anything.
Yeah,
right.
it's like what, a 10 card deck.
Yes.
It's a 10 card deck. You have I think Hearthstone in terms of like your resources going up at the beginning of every turn, and cards have value of like a power value that you need to in order to play. I think what really grabbed me from the instant was a fantastic tutorial. They ease you in against bots. You don't like in the beginning. You're like, am I playing against bots? Am I not? You don't care. You're winning. It feels great. It's very quick and easy to pick up. They teach you the mechanics really well. Like everyone's always like, yeah, I won 12 in a row, and then they throw you that 13th one once you get into like ranked, which is like, this is how you retreat when you're losing a game, so you don't lose your rank. So it's and then it sets you loose. I like that there's no booster packs to open, but there is randomness. So like as you upgrade your cards with the resources you get, you kind of work up this like collection chain or collector score. And so like for like every 2 stars, you either get like a boost, like a booster points to upgrade a card, or like it's a currency that you need to upgrade them to like different levels. It goes from like common to uncommon, rare, epic, legendary.
And, upgrading a card just affects its
Visual,
aesthetics.
yeah.
Right. And so that's the
yeah.
other thing is that when you play these cards, a lot of them have visual effects that are associated with them, and they usually reflect the character in play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're leveling up these cards, you're leveling up the actual the look of the card in the sense that like now the art is going to break out of the frame. Now
Yeah.
the art is actually going to have like a 3D effect to it, and you're gonna have an animated frame, and that's the way you work up. And then actually, I don't know if you've gotten to the point where you've gotten one all the way up to its max tier, but after that, you can then start working on a variant of that where it makes the background like neon, and now you're doing the same thing, upgrading that variant of the card up. Um, and so
Wait, so it gives you like a random variant of that card?
no, so it gives you the same card,
Yeah.
right? Except it changes it a little bit, right? And most times what it does is it makes the background neon colored.
Okay.
And neon as in like when you think of like cyberpunk neon colors, right? We're
Okay.
talking like light blues and pinks and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
It gives it more of a foil effect, honestly, if you want to think about it. And so yeah, it's cool. And yeah, as you said, just you're going up this every time you do that, you go up this collection track, and that's how you unlock new cards. And those they're listed as question marks, but that is a set track.
Yeah.
And so
So it's not random.
those cards are not random.
Oh,
It is
okay.
a set track. Yes.
So that I was like, well, then how do people make these decks? And so like what I one of the things I did yesterday was I went like I was like, okay, so if this is a deck builder, there are websites out there that have like guides. And what I noticed was like there's like three tier pools depending on your collector score. Like you can make your deck like if you're in this, that, like first, second, or third, and it seems like there's a ton of cards to unlock as you go.
There's a ton of cards.
Yeah. I have. So yesterday on my bus ride home, I had gotten the email. I saw like Marvel Snap had released while I was at work. I'm glad I didn't download it when I was there. I was on the bus. I downloaded it. I started it up. I was supposed to be. I was like, I'll do 1 or 2 matches of this. I was supposed to be playing Plague Tale Innocence, so I could wrap that up. And my goal was to play on the bus, go home. We weren't doing Gloomhaven last night since Danny is out of town, and I was going to wrap up Plague Tale. But then I also found out Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope had released, so I was like, maybe I'll... so I grabbed that in New York. I got it 2 days early. I was like, I'll play that when I get home, and so I could talk about it today. No. I played 12 hours of Marvel Snap since yesterday. How do I know 12 hours? Because I went into my battery usage for the last 10 days, and that number 1 was Marvel Snap, and it was like 11 hours and 50 minutes of like on-screen active time and like 20 minutes in the background.
What's your collection score now after 12 hours? I'm curious.
It is... So I know my rank score right now is 41, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So you've been getting those dubs.
Yeah, and I think like that's what I like. I feel like I've been winning fairly consistently, like a good maybe like in the beginning it was like 95% unless like I've really messed up and wasn't paying attention. Now I think it's more on like 85. My collection rank is 122.
Oh, okay. Wow, you've made some progress.
Yes, and my season pass is at 31. The second season pass, I already finished the recruiter one, which was 20 levels, and then
that one's free, right?
That one's free, yeah. And so like that's the other thing when it comes to monetization in Marvel Snap, it's there is a store that you can buy variants of cards, and the variants are just like cards you can get by just playing. There's different art styles of them, so you can like pay to unlock them early if you wish, or upgrade a card a little bit quicker, or buy gold to unlock variants or season pass levels, and that's about it. Like and then the season pass if you want the season pass for the symbiote infection.
Season pass is like $10.
$10. Yeah, and that's it. And I was like, that seems like a no-brainer. I've already poured countless hours. Like my wife was like, aren't you coming downstairs? Like, aren't you going to go play something? I was like, I've been playing Marvel Snap. My phone has died once already. And before the night was done, I had drained my phone twice. It's a problem. I got off the bus and I got into the car and I'm like, no one's going to be waiting for me at home. Like, I could do a couple matches as I sit here. I get home and my wife was like, "Oh yeah, we were waiting outside for you for like 10, 15 minutes. I saw him find my iPhone that like, oh, you made it to your car." And so we were just waiting outside, but it got cold, and I was like, "Yeah, I had to work messages to breathe."
So no, this game, in my opinion, I think I talked about it when I first talked about it, however many months ago. This is the epitome of the just one more, right? The just one more game. Just one more match.
fast.
Like that one was quick. Just one more. I won that one. I lost that one. Can't go to bed on a loss. Like
Don't play this game in the bathroom, because then your wife will 100% be like, "What were you doing in there for so long?" The only response you can come up with is Marvel Snap, and then you are walking like a duck or a penguin because your legs are dead. They just fell asleep. They died. They suffocated from lack of blood flow.
James, you've been also playing. I hope that you haven't been neglecting normal human responsibilities and adult responsibilities.
Have I showered today?
No, like my level's much lower. My collector score is like in the 20s, like
Okay.
the 20s.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been enjoying it. Like I just been playing on lunch break, and in the evenings and stuff. Nothing crazy. So far, I think I've lost 2 matches, but one of those was the one that forced you to retreat because it wants to teach you how to retreat.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I feel like it's as you start off, as long as you understand the general concept and the rules, like and just pay attention to where you place your cards, I feel like you can get wins pretty easy early on.
Yeah, definitely. And then as you get older, as you get higher up in the ranks and stuff like that, and you're playing more people who actually know what they're doing and stuff like that, you will run into some difficulty. You'll also, one of the things to keep in mind is they'll show you what the featured, one of the things that Bilal mentioned is besides playing the cards, there's also 3 locations that you want to play at. And the goal of the game to win a match is to have the higher power on 2 out of the 3 locations. Now, if you have one location, they have one location, and you draw on the third, then total power is the tiebreaker. Now,
so I didn't understand that in the beginning because I kept on winning every tiebreaker, and I thought it was like, oh no, you. I was like, I guess everyone wins on a tiebreaker until I finally lost one. And then let me pull this up. So
and each location has a different effect. Now, one of the things that you guys will learn is that there are featured locations every week or every couple of days, something like that, and the featured locations will oftentimes dictate what deck you're bringing in there, because there are some featured locations that negate on reveal effects, that negate ongoing effects, that give you a bonus for discarding or cause you to discard, or cause you to a 25% chance that the card played here will be destroyed. And so knowing that could potentially come into play ahead of time, and that there's a higher likelihood that that location is going to come into play than other locations, you are now bringing in different decks built around different mechanics based on those locations. And that's one of the things I really, really like about this game.
Yeah, and like, I love like the 3 foundations or areas that you can play the cards can change up. I like that, like there's a Scarlet Witch card that can like completely change up what that location is.
Yeah.
And then I love the mind games. Because, like, if someone plays Hawkeye, which then creates a field that the next card played there will give him, like, +2 to his power, then someone will just play, like, a Star-Lord, which will then, like, hey, if someone plays in this arena, then you get, like, a power boost. But, like, there's so many mind games you can play with folks, and it's not like the deck is so big that you can't keep track of these cards. Like as you play, you progressively just kind of just like pick up on all these different strategies. And the game does a really good job of like, if you never encountered a card being played, and sometimes it happens with like the field will generate random cards that you get. It will highlight the card. It will show you like, hey, this is a new card. This is what the abilities are. Have a look. So you're not confused on like what it is.
Yeah, you mentioned like the mind games to keep a track of stuff. I mean, there's literally a location that says on turn 6 you'll switch hands, and so I'm playing, and then at the end of turn 5, before I switch hands, I look at what I have, I look at what's out on the board. We switch hands, and I go, okay, if I do this, they can't win because I know what they have in their hand to play. And so I really, really enjoy Marvel Snap. One of the things I'm excited for is that in the near future on their roadmap is Friends with or battles with friends, which is going to allow you to actually play against friends. But it's going to be more of a like best out of 3 situation.
Ooh.
And so yeah,
Can
something
you
like
bring
that. So
multiple decks in?
I don't know. I don't know all the details yet, but it is going to be a situation where it's not going to be as quick as what you're seeing there. I also wonder how it's going to impact your gains and your collection score, right? And how they're going to avoid people kind of just like gaming the system.
Um,
Um,
Question for you, because you said you
yes,
were
sir.
playing on Steam earlier.
Yes.
Did it just carry over with your login?
Yes.
Okay, so
All my stuff is
if
there.
I can find my Android phone, I can get that Hulk variant. Because the Iron Man one on iOS, garbage. I hate that. I hate the artwork on that one.
Yeah, I was tempted to download it on my wife's phone on her iPhone just so I can get the variant real quick, just to have it, say I have it. But we'll see if I actually go that far. All right, let's. I think that wraps up everything we've been playing. Let's go ahead and get into the news. Ton of news this week. Let's just go ahead and get right into it. All right, first things first. Elden Ring gets massive combat overhaul as it makes way for DLC. Now, I think that this headline, I saw this headline when it first releases a headline on Taku. It was this past Friday. And as soon as I saw this headline, I was like, what? And hopped right into it. The overhaul is that damage scaling changes and spell and different ability stuff changes depending on if you're playing PvE or PvP.
Yes.
Right? And it's really just it's genius. It's really just a balancing thing to balance out PvP so some things aren't overpowered. I mean, I think we've known for a while, or just suspected for a while, that the next DLC that's going to be coming is going to be a PvP focused mode.
Yeah.
Or at least it will have a PvP focused mode. I don't know, who knows if they'll have more
I
stuff.
think in Dark Souls 3 they had an arena in one
Right.
of the DLCs
Right.
for people to go and do like
Yes.
PvP
And
Coliseum mode. Yeah.
there's already arena-like buildings in Elden Ring that were inaccessible to us, right? And so, and it's very early on. It's like right when you get past that first area, there's one off to the side, right next to the broken bridge. But so yeah, so the like I said, I think the headline is a little bit misleading because it makes it seem like they've changed the whole game, right? And that's not the case. Broken builds for PvE are still going to be broken builds for PvE.
Yeah, but I think like they did change it. They did buff in there some weapons and spells as part of it. But yeah, but I do think like splitting, like, creating 2 categories for PvE PvP is pretty major, because I don't think they've done this before for any of the Dark Souls or Bloodborne games. So I think that's interesting. But I think what speaks more to me are the new maps files that are found, referred as to M20 and M45. So M20 has the same numbering as Legacy Dungeons, and M45 is just brand new. They're not sure what that is. And then there's also something about dynamic loading casting. I guess that's for spells. So really curious on how all that works out. And new haircuts.
James, did you play any Elden Ring?
No. So I just like I played some Dark Souls games, and I played Bloodborne a little bit, but like I'm just not a fan of those types of games.
That's fair. I think I haven't been a fan of them in the past. It wasn't until I actually gave Bloodborne another shot and got through that that I really like kind of fell in love with the genre. But Elden Ring, in my opinion, is just a whole nother level. I think they do it better. It's the best they've ever done as far as like getting new players into it and kind of making it so that it's not incredibly punishing, right? If you take the time, explore, like there are things you could do besides getting your butt kicked.
Yeah, and I think the community has also like come together and done like, hey, if you don't want to get your ass kicked and you kind of just want to power your way through, take this line, go get like these runes and items, and you'll be powerful for the beginning of the game, and have an easier time, at least, instead of banging your head against the wall.
It's kind of funny. So like with Dark Souls and Bloodborne, all those games, it's like I just kept getting, defeated, and I'm like, you know what? I was just getting frustrated.
Mhm.
But at the same time, like I 100%ed Cuphead and the DLC. So I'm like, I enjoy difficult games,
Yeah.
but there's just something about the combat in that, and just like it just didn't click with me for some reason.
Yeah, I do think that there has to be an aha moment in those games,
Mhm.
unfortunately. Um, and so
But
I
yeah,
totally understand that.
I get it. Like I started Bloodborne 4 times over like 5 years, and it just never
Mhm.
clicked until it finally did. And
Mhm.
when it did, it changed how I looked at that entire franchise.
Well, you know what? If Elden Ring in video game form doesn't do it for you, James, maybe the board game version will. As the Elden Ring board game
Nice
finally
transition.
reveals its Kickstarter launch date. Uh, so we talked about this maybe not last week, a couple weeks ago, about it had to be in September, that there was an Elden Ring board game coming. Obviously, those who have been watching the podcast and have been listening for a while know that I have a massive board game collection, and I'm going to start doing some board game content on this channel and on my own channel. I cannot wait for this Kickstarter. I talked about this before. My one concern is that Steam Forge has in the past taken other properties, most notably the Resident Evil property. They've also done Dark Souls, and they've released board games, and they tend to be good adaptations, not great in the past. And actually, I'm kind of disappointed about my Resident Evil 2 because it seems like some of the quality control wasn't there. Where like the tiles in the book are not printed the same way on the actual physical board, which makes setting up the game a little bit difficult. Now, it does say in the book that it doesn't matter necessarily, right? Still, it's kind of frustrating. Anyway, I do have high hopes considering just how big of a property Elden Ring is. And so they announced that the launch date for the campaign, for the Kickstarter campaign, will be November 22nd. Thinking about Resident Evil, if it ends at the end of December and giving it a month-long campaign, we will probably get those in our hands sometime in the summer. And so
Have they said the price yet on this?
they have not. They already have 19,000 people signed up for the notify me portion of the campaign, and their highest earning campaign so far had 31,000 backers. So this is set to kind of destroy any of their previous records.
I feel like if you want to get in like on that, it's $100 cheaper. You're gonna need to get in fast
And
and early.
yes, like the moment it
Yeah.
launches.
What
My
what did you say again?
November
20. Okay,
22nd.
so we got some
Yep.
time.
Yep. I can tell you right now, I will be backing this.
I,
Um,
I I'm going back and forth on this just because like I got the Dark Souls one, I got the Bloodborne one, and I gifted Bloodborne, the entire Bloodborne collection I got to Ali because I was like, listen, I've got a kid, I don't know when I'm going to be able to play this or the time and space to do this anytime soon. But I think with Elden Ring, it's just like I want to do the one where it gets me everything, like all those expansions. I don't know if people saw like the social media post for Bloodborne when it arrived. It was like 30 boxes. I want 30 boxes. I want all those figures, and then I want to sit there and think about painting them.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it is a great feeling when that happens.
I,
It's a terrible feeling a month before that, month before that happens, or however many months before that
Yeah.
happens, when you have to close out your pledge and they show you how much shipping is for those 30
oh
boxes.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next bit of news. Modern Warfare 2's phone number requirement isn't the same as Overwatch 2's. So we talked about this last week about the cell phone requirement and actually how they have since dropped that requirement.
Mhm.
It looks like that Activision anti-cheat team has pointed out that the new SMS policy for Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2.0 is the same as the verification requirement implemented with the first Warzone on PC back in 2020. So for those playing Modern Warfare 2 on Steam, a mobile phone number must also be linked to the player's Steam account. Um, so it's basically what's already been implemented is what they're going to be going with forward, which doesn't seem to have some of the same issues that SMS Protect did. I mean, we were talking about this before, Bilal, but James, you have any interest in Modern Warfare 2? Are you done with Call of Duties?
I've been yeah. I mean, it like Call of Duty is another one where like my time is so limited, it just falls off. It's just one of the games that just kind of fell off. Like
Yeah.
if friends bring it up, say, "Hey, let's play it," I'll hop into a game, but it's not something I'm like die hard into.
Yeah, I was talking to Bilal about this before the pre-show. It's one of those things where because they've been very hit or miss. I feel like every year it's like speaking from a campaign or multiplayer perspective, it's been hit or miss, and the past couple have been miss. That I I liked the first new Modern Warfare that came out. Normally, I would go ahead and bite the bullet on this one and take the chance, but we're so close to the potential of an acquisition and these games just ending up on Game Pass that it just feels like me being on the fence.
Well,
It doesn't make sense for me to
you did
you know
hear about that there. Is that in the news story later about the Game Pass and Call of Duty? Do you have that in the news stories? I didn't see it.
about PlayStation
So
blocking.
yeah, PlayStation blocking it. So it won't be on Game Pass for at least a few years after. So it'll be a
Right.
while.
I know. I think for me, I like these games for the campaigns, but I haven't played the last couples. But this one actually seems like they are doing something. Like they put the resources in. Like the footage they have shown so far of it looks fantastic, and they've already. I think there was a Bloomberg broke the story of like next year there's no new Call of Duty. There's going to be a campaign extension, like more levels, and I'm like, now you're speaking my language. But do I want to pay $70 for a campaign, or do I want to wait for it to come on sale, wait for reviews, and then see like how long it actually is, and will it work for me? But I think the one cool thing they are doing with the campaign is creating unlocks in
Yeah.
terms of cosmetics for playing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so this has always been a thing with Call of Duty, right? Is that every year, not this incentive, but every year the stats come out and the number of people who play Call of Duty, the percentage of them who actually complete the campaign is minuscule, right? It's negligible. And so what they're doing now is they are now giving rewards for actually completing the game. And if you've pre-ordered it, they have early access and early launch for the campaign itself. So you kind of get these out of the way before the multiplayer comes. The rewards are a calling card, an emblem, a 30-minute double XP token, a 30-minute double weapon XP, another calling card, a base operator, 30-minute double XP, 30-minute double weapon XP, another calling card, another base operator, and then some hour log, and more calling cards, more base operators. And you'll get them as you progress through the campaign.
I mean, you gotta
Obviously,
feel bad for the team that works in the campaigns, right? They put all this time and all this resources to making a story, and nobody experiences it.
yeah, and not for nothing, but most of the time, in my opinion, the campaigns are oftentimes the best part of these
Mhm.
games, and part of the reason I still play them is because they do kind of give you the spectacle that you don't get many other places in games anymore. It used to be commonplace, but now not as much, in my opinion. Like there is a high level of polish to these games as well. This is very much like a $200 million you know what this is? The Call of Duty campaigns are the equivalent of like a Marvel movie, although not as good. But like they are high quality, bombastic popcorn events. And so yeah, it is a shame
Say
that
Fast and
people
Furious movies.
oh but yeah, all right, fine. That's a better honestly, because those are also very hit or miss. So that is a very
Right,
apt
right.
comparison. And so yeah, I mean this is cool. Again, I am most curious to see if this actually impacts completion percentage, right? If they come back and say, yeah, this incentive works and we had our highest campaign completion ever, I did see that like some big streamers like Tim the Tatman are going to be playing the game and the campaign early before launch. Um,
I think if
although
you, I think if
he is a
you pre-ordered
hashtag
it,
COD partner, but
yeah, no, if you pre-order it, I think you could preload the campaign today
mhm.
and then start playing the campaign tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, so the campaign has like an early thing if you pre-order. But like like I like the when Halo Infinite did it. Like if you got those drop pods, you can unlock armor in multiplayer.
Yeah.
Um, and then if you beat that game, you also got that special unlock awaiting 2 years for network co-op for the campaign.
Next bit of news. NVIDIA shelves cheaper RTX 4080, admitting its name was confusing. This is okay. So I will admit that when they announced two 4080 cards and the 4090, the 12 gig 4080 and the 16 gig 4080, and this not just the 16 gig 4080 having more memory, but also just being like significantly better across the board. I thought this was the dumbest thing ever, and was so not confused about the different models, confused as to why they would do that. So I don't think that like the naming was confusing. I think the thinking behind the naming is the confusing thing.
I think somebody meant to hit 7 and they hit 8 and they just doubled down like, no, we're doing two 4080s. We're not doing
Yeah.
a 4070.
Um,
They're in this like weird downward spiral. Like I've never seen a company whose own PR has just like tanked so quickly. Like the price of these cards, with how ridiculously big the power pull on them, and just like how they're even just like kind of everything with EVGA backing out and not even like doing graphics cards anymore. It really kind of like taints the Nvidia name for me.
it's also I don't know. I think it's kind of wild. Have either of you two seen the unboxings of the 4090s?
They're absolutely ridiculous.
They're massive. They're like graphics cards that are the size of like an Xbox Series S.
Yeah, I
It
saw
just
photos of that. Yeah.
it's just like I've already got a graphics card holder holding up my 3070 Ti, you know? And so I can't imagine the like GPU sag on these things.
It's absolutely insane.
That's wild. And that's on the FE versions, right? Which tend to be significantly smaller than third-party
Yeah.
versions. So I don't know.
I
I think
can't-
this
I can't
I
find
think
the
this
picture. Yeah.
I think one like the jump in power and DLSS 3 or whatever looks awesome. But I also think that these already the pricing is kind of nuts, especially in the current economy. And I think you're going to see, especially with the crash of like cryptocurrency and stuff like that lately, I think you're going to see the prices on these cards plummet much sooner than they have in the past. Especially considering that like I mean I'm not kidding. I could not put a 4090 in my current case. So I would,
Yeah. I don't know what case you could like. Here's the 4090 next to a Series S, and it's bigger. Next was a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi Max is slightly bigger. A banana doesn't even make up 60% of it.
No, it's wild. They have it, and it's like this the same height, if not a little bit taller than an Xbox Series X, which is wild.
No, that's the mini fridge.
Oh, that's the mini fridge. Oh,
Yeah, that's even worse in my opinion.
Yeah.
Man, it is. And at a certain point, like, what are you doing that requires so much power? Like I understand you want to play 4K, but you can do 4K with the 30,000 series cards just fine.
I don't know. Like you said, I think this whole launch is kind of ridiculous, and it seems like they've kind of lost touch with reality. I mean, obviously during the pandemic in the past couple of years with this component supply shortage, the rise of crypto and stuff like that, like we saw GPU prices skyrocket, you know, and obviously Nvidia wasn't getting a piece of that secondhand market. And so I part of me just wonders if they saw that and just did not realize that that was a flash in the pan and not something that was going to be tenable for the foreseeable future. And so I don't know, man. It's wild.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving. Earlier today, Konami had a stream that showed off the what we can expect from the Silent Hill franchise going forward. Rumored previously was that a remake of Silent Hill 2 was coming. It is indeed coming, and is coming from Layers of Fear developer Bloober Team. I actually like Bloober Team. I think that when it comes to atmosphere and tension, I think they do a really solid job. I dabbled a little bit in Layers of Fear, but I played all of the Blair Witch game. I also played all of the Medium. I think those games have their problems, but I don't think that atmosphere is one of them. And I think if you're doing a remake of a game that's already established, that already has kind of that's you're taking a formula that's already there and just making it better, and making it newer and updating and modernizing it. I think Bloober Team is absolutely ready to handle something like that.
Yeah. So some key points to mention about this. New musical style and sound design, over-the-shoulder camera, and modernized gameplay. 12-month exclusive to PS5, day
Right.
one on PC, at least.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is that it is
Guys,
a
guys,
time
I thought
exclusive.
PlayStation said exclusives were bad.
I
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
I know.
You pulled me out of the rock and up onto the soapbox. So
No.
I have to say.
I mean, listen, we've this whole acquisition news that's come out and just the comments, honestly, from both sides are kind of ridiculous. It always reminds me.
completely agree.
It reminds me of I interned for a real estate attorney one time, and he was actually the attorney for one of the counties in New Jersey. And when they had to do tax assessments and people would appeal, he would be there representing the county. And so you would have these people coming in and basically saying, "No, I live in a dump. My house is terrible. My property's not worth anything." And that's what these like multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar companies are coming in here and saying. It's like, no, we're the little guy in all this. Like,
Right.
they're the bullies. We can't compete. We're number one in the market, but it's because it's just like, all right, give me a break.
Oh.
Um,
Sorry, back to Silent Hill.
Yes, Silent Hill F, Konami's first main series game in a decade, will be coming, and that will be developed in Taiwan. There is not a lot of news coming out, except that it's a completely new story set in 1960s Japan, featuring a beautiful yet horrifying world.
I mean, you can literally set anything in Japan and gamers will buy it regardless of how that game does. Look at
100% true.
Ghostwire Tokyo.
I like Ghostwire Tokyo. Stop it. Stop it. I like
you
Ghostwire Tokyo.
also like Bloober Team.
Okay, next bit of news. Wow, you're mean. Silent Hill is getting a new movie to reboot the franchise. Return to Silent Hill even brings back the series' best director, according to Polygon.
Those movies are not good. They're not good at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I actually don't remember them at all. I think I watched like that very first one that came out and found it kind of forgettable. So,
yeah.
But I'm always down. I'm always down. If it's good, good. If it's bad, but it's so bad it's good, good. Because things like Netflix Watch Party and stuff like that have made those kind of movies absolutely perfect.
Here's some notes from Rosetta on this. Myth of Orpheus inspired the script. Can a man go deep into hell to bring back the soul of the person he loved the most? Creature designs will be similar but brought back differently. There will also be new creature designs. New audiences want to experience this collectively, and we want to give what the modern audiences want. So, not sure what that exactly means, but let's see.
All right. The last bit of news that we're going to talk about as far as Silent Hill is concerned is Silent Hill Townfall was announced. It is coming from acclaimed developer No Code, and it is Konami is working in conjunction with Annapurna Interactive. Now, No Code are the ones behind Stories Untold and Observation. There was a teaser trailer, doesn't reveal a whole lot. I think just knowing that Annapurna Interactive is involved in this means that we are going to get something new. And I am all for established franchises kind of going outside of their genre and doing stuff that is
Listen,
that's atmospheric, right? Like,
listen, I would have been with you on Annapurna for the most part, but they also did 12 minutes. So if it turns out Pyramid Head is my sister and my wife, who's pregnant, then I don't know.
Well, speaking of 12 minutes and things that seemed like they were a good idea, but then turned out to not be, the revived G4
I thought I was mean.
The revived G4 is shutting down. Comcast is shutting down G4 effective immediately. It's kind of a bummer because it's one of those situations where like they set out emails and stuff over the weekend. People found out, I think, on Friday.
Can I tell you? Can I tell you race? who we've had on the podcast
Yes.
before,
Yes.
is doing contract gigs with them, and he found out through Wario64's tweet.
Yes. So I saw a couple
Yeah.
other people who on Twitter who said that they basically found out from Twitter and from social media. And so yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, listen, I made the joke. I was excited for G4 to come back. I think that the idea that it was going to come back
On linear
and
television.
be kind of the same channel again. Now, granted,
Yeah.
way more representation this time around. Actually, one of the things I thought was really cool. I actually liked all the. And I didn't watch a ton of it. Most of the stuff I saw was like clips and segments that I watched online. And I thought some of the talent they brought on board was dope. And actually, the new voices that were brought on with some of the old voices. I mean, Adam Sessler is like, on Mount Rushmore of gaming personalities as far as I'm concerned, right? And but then bringing in like some of the new voices like Danny and oh my god, what's her name?
It starts with F, right? FR.
No, I'm thinking of her name's like Overly.
Overly
Oh,
May.
yes. It was
Austin
low-key,
Creed.
it
Yeah.
was Austin Creed, yeah, who's low-key hilarious, and she also does a lot of like esports hosting as well.
Yeah.
I think she actually works with one of the esports companies now, one of the teams. Anyway, yeah, no, it's kind of a bummer. I think that if it had just come back as like an online kind of smaller budget thing on Twitch and YouTube, that maybe it could have found its legs a little bit better. I also think that it had to be a little bit different than what it was, right?
Yeah.
Like it came back and it felt very much like G4, which was good and bad.
Yeah.
It just was one of those things where like I never really got into it because I was like, I've kind of seen this stuff and these shticks before, and so
Yeah, and so just to clarify one thing on first, I am Comcast Spectator CEO was the one that sent out the email, and Comcast owns G4, but they also own NBCU, which I'm an employee of. Just putting it out there. But yeah, no, like over at Peacock, we have a Peacock's Games channel. Like I shared the news there when I saw it, and everyone was kind of like, like I loved Attack of the Show. I loved G4 back when it originally aired, but I never really went back to it. And like, who has time to catch linear TV nowadays? And I feel like while there were clips on social that were shared, their social just wasn't as prominent as I would have liked it to be. There weren't those moments that they were able to capture and share, and that's kind of what you need. And if you look at bringing back anything in terms of nostalgia, look at what Hollywood's been doing for years, what television's been doing. The things that work for when you bring things back, it's like taking it and adapting it for the new times. Like you can have the callbacks to old, but you need to modernize it, and I don't think G4 did that. And so I felt outdated out the gate. Where now you have thousands, maybe millions of people on YouTube that you're competing against, and if you can't stand out amongst that on television, on socials, then you're never going to stand a chance.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the landscape is just completely different because, like, I grew up watching Tech TV, which became G4, and like X-Plane. All that. Like, I'm like the target audience for this, right? Like a guy in his mid 30s, like that grew up on that. Like, it just didn't click with me. Like I agree. There's just too many other options out there that when I had something to watch, I'd watch it elsewhere versus G4. Again, Adam Sessler would still watch his reviews and his rants and those kinds of things. Enjoyed that stuff, but most of the other stuff I just didn't. I didn't pay mind to.
Yeah. All right. Next bit of news. Apex Legends adds a new hero, and it is a trans legend to the roster.
Apex Legends lore minute.
Okay, so here we go. So they released the new stories from the Outlands called Last Hope. Of course, I watched it. It starts with our new legend, Catalyst, sitting across from Rampart and basically catching her up on what happened in the past since I think they last saw each other. Basically, the lore is that Catalyst's home planet of Boreas is the moon. I'm trying to explain this. All right. So they're trying to protect the moon of their home planet. That obviously is like something's going on there, right? This big corporation is coming in and is basically threatening the stability of the planet itself. Think Final Fantasy VII and, what's that company? Shenmue, whatever.
Shinra, yeah.
And so Catalyst's friend, Margot, says that she has a plan to stop them. They sneak on to the facilities of Hammond Robotics. And it turns out that, surprise, surprise, Margot's essentially an eco-terrorist, has a bomb, and Catalyst is like, no, people get hurt, blah, blah, blah. While they're there, they allude to this black goo that is running through these pipes that's there. Catalyst tries to stop Margot. They get into a fight. They end up getting caught. Margot gets caught, but as Margot's walking away, she shows that she has a detonator. She blow ups the thing. And now they show Catalyst talking to Rampart again. And they're back on their home planet, which also seems to tease out the fact that we are getting a new map on that planet. The big news come out of this is that this character is trans. They don't come out and just say it in the stories from the outlines, but they are very heavy-handed. It is very obvious. You'd have to be completely oblivious to not understand what they're getting at. And so, yeah, I mean, Apex Legends continues to be inclusive in the characters they reveal. I mean, the original starting lineup of Apex Legends had their Gibraltar's homosexual, Bloodhound's non-binary.
Yeah.
Bangalore is a lesbian. Like, they've been doing this for a long time now. This is its first openly, as far as we know, trans character. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's I mean, it's one of those things where, like, yes, it's a big deal. Representation is a big deal. I'm not trans. I can't relate. The closest thing I can kind of relate to is that, like, when I saw one of the early trailers for Spider-Man Miles Morales, and he's walking through New York, and there's that festival going on, and their Puerto Rican flag is all over the place, and it kind of hit me, and I realized that, like, I never saw that in a game before, really, right? I never saw my culture, my representation out there, and I kind of didn't even realize it until I actually saw it. And so representation does matter. Representation is a big deal. But I hope that as we go on, this kind of stuff becomes less of a story, right? It is very cool. I mean, all representation is very cool.
And the story notes, like, they work closely with GLAAD, which, I've covered events for them in the past. They had, I think, like, every May they have, like, their award ceremony, and I've worked with friends with covering the red carpet. Fantastic organization. And like, it's good to see companies reaching out and actually getting consultation and properly representing, because, like, there have been stories in the past where you just don't see that, and the characters are handled poorly, or decisions around certain characters are handled poorly, and it just falls into, like, repetitive tropes. And so it's good to see a nice positive one. But, like, as you said, I think if you even going back, like, the last 5 years, we've come a long way, and eventually these stories will become less of stories and more just how it is.
Yeah, the norm.
Yeah.
All right. From reaching out to reaching into your pocket, new Mortal Kombat game is an RPG for phones. Definitely sounds like a gacha game being described as a new collection of role-playing game. NetherRealm Studios will be saying, "Get over here to your wallet." I hate myself. That's like, oh my God.
I honestly thought you were reading from the article, and he's not.
I did too.
This is yeah. So they announced a spin-off called Mortal Kombat Onslaught, which they are describing as a new collection role-playing game. that's bound for mobile devices in 2023. Mortal Kombat Onslaught will let players build a team of fighters and battle in massive real-time group battles. I mean, yeah, okay, fine. You know, it's one of those things where like I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna tell you like this is another one of these gotcha game cash grabs, and without anything more than this, I can only imagine the grind that's involved. Um, but also, I am currently playing Disney Mirrorverse every single day, and that is a grindy kind of gotcha cash grab. And so, yeah, all right, whatever, man. There is something for everybody, and I'm sure this will appeal to some people. And who knows? I mean, the one thing about Disney Mirrorverse is that it's actually fun to play. I think it feels good to play, and it is a little bit more active than these games normally are. And so, I mean, this if it's good, it's good. We'll see. Next bit of news: The Sims 5 is in early development, has cool new build mode, according to this article from Polygon. And the next Sims game is being developed under the codename Project Renee. On Tuesday, the Sims developer Maxis unveiled a very early look at Project Renee, the codename for the game that will eventually become The Sims 5. The vice president of franchise creative for The Sims, Lindsay Pearson, shared high-level plans for upcoming Sims content, officially announced the project, which is going to be the next mainline Sims game, and will allow for solo or collaborative play and cross-play across various devices. Focus on technical systems like building customization. And it's also going to make the building phase of the game significantly more social, with the buy and build phase becoming a multiplayer feature for those interested in sharing their builds. Now, as somebody who used to play the Sims growing up, right? It's actually probably the first like PC game I ever dabbled in. Just messed around, never was like, put a significant amount of time into it. But who is currently back to playing Grounded and stuff like that, like this seems like the perfect next step for The Sims, right? Is kind of making the building out of the world and having these shared worlds more social and more of a multiplayer feature.
I mean, that is kind of an issue right now, I think, with The Sims, because like my wife and I playing on my, got on my Xbox right now, like I'll play it and then she'll play in her name, but like we're totally separate, right? Like even if we're in the same town, we're totally separate. So it'd be nice to have that all combined like that.
Yeah, no. It just seems like a logical next evolution in that franchise. All right, Bilal, you want to take this next story for us?
Yeah.
Feels like you'll have more enthusiasm, even though I am excited for this, weirdly enough. But
so I was very pumped for this because the season content wrapped up in Destiny 2's Season of the Plunder until they do the finale, and so the next big event happening was their Halloween event, which I was so ready to play yesterday if it wasn't for Marvel Snap. But this year's theme, Halloween theme, is Gundam style armor. So there's a free event pass, by the sounds of things, that you can play through. You're going through lost sectors and destroying nightmares. They added like ghosts and ghouls. It's themed. It's if you played previous what do they call this event? God, it's not here. Festival of the Lost is what they call it. And so if you played the ones from the last couple of years, you'll know that it's just you're just going into lost sectors and killing enemies. And it's kind of grindy, but there's cool things like Gundam armor for your characters, and like I'm really happy the Titan one looks awesome. They have like
one looks awesome.
Yeah. And so they have like poses and other items as well that go along with it. I think there's a new triumph that is part of the event. So, if you're looking to, possibly raid in Gundam armor in the future, jump in as the event runs from October 18th to November 8th. So someone needs to take my phone away from me so I can actually do this.
All right. Moving on, Netflix might get into cloud gaming, which I mentioned earlier, forms another new game studio. So studio will be headed by former Overwatch executive producer Chaco Sunny. Let's see. According to TechCrunch, Netflix's Mike Verdu said on Tuesday at the TechCrunch Disrupt 2022 conference that the company is seriously exploring a cloud gaming offering. They also announced that they would be opening up a new gaming studio, which is the 5th studio to be owned by Netflix to date. And he said exactly what I was talking about earlier, and he was quoted as saying, "We're not asking you to subscribe as a console replacement. It's a completely different business model. The hope is over time that it just becomes this very natural way to play games wherever you are." Again, if they intend to just make it a value add proposition, that is the way to get in the door. And I think the smartest thing about this and about companies doing it as a value add is if we get to the point where this does become the future and it does become a console replacement, history has shown us that the first ones to get their foot in and to establish a foothold and just show and prove that yes, look, we can do this. We've been doing this. They're the ones that have a head start, right?
Mhm.
It's the only reason why Microsoft got into this. It's why Sony bought what were they called
Bungie?
before Sony?
Oh
No,
no,
the actual cloud streaming OnLive. Where is
on
it
live.
OnLive they
I
bought?
think
Or
I think
was
it's
the
online,
other one?
yeah.
on live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And so it's interesting to see more companies kind of to dabble in this and how they approach it, right? I think, like I said, that the best way. Actually, he himself stated that in reference to Stadia, that Stadia was a technical success. It was fun to play games on Stadia, but it had some issues with the business model, sure. And that is exactly the problem. And so I like what I'm hearing. Obviously, if it's a value
Mhm.
add, I have Netflix. I don't know how much I'll actually use their cloud gaming service. I guess it depends on how well it's implemented and how it feels to play and what games are on there. But as somebody who already has a subscription, there's no reason for me not to try it out, right?
Yeah, I mean, like here's some background from the streaming space. Like,
Mhm.
Netflix is baked into everything, and say if they can get console titles available on that service, and the door is there already. They don't need to make any additional deals. They don't need to build too much more tech to get this over. Maybe add controller support to the app. Yeah, this will probably be like a year out before we see much of anything. But like, they could be a serious Game Pass competitor out the door. I think better than Luna, better than GeForce Now, with what they could offer, and they had the money to spend as well to like make these
Mhm.
deals.
There's
I,
also
I
the
do
idea.
wonder. Also, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I do wonder though if it's going to set this behind tiers, right? So like they got the 4K tier, the 1080 tier, and then the ad tier. It'll probably be the most expensive tier. Will probably come with it. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they might just gate the resolution at which you can stream the game, similar to what some other companies have done. Now,
Yeah.
not for nothing, but Microsoft does gate it behind Xbox Live or Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, right?
Mhm.
Is the cloud
Right.
streaming. So it wouldn't be unprecedented for them to gate it behind, say, the 4K tier. I think it's
Mhm.
more likely that the 4K tier comes with like 1080p streaming, and maybe the lower tiers come with 720p. But it will be interesting to see. What I was gonna say is they could potentially actually fulfill the promise that Stadia had, where Stadia was like, oh, you'll be watching a YouTube streamer and there'll be a link on the game they're playing. You could just click on it and get right into the game. Well, here you could be watching Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which is a fantastic series. And then at the end of every episode, there's a little like link that you can click on that would then boot into Cyberpunk 2077, right? Like
Yeah.
how many?
I
Yeah, okay. All right. So
I've
you
got my
are,
Stadia. I've
yeah,
got my Stadia.
yeah.
You know how many times I've used this?
Okay. So are we just
One
gonna?
time.
Are we all just gonna hold up?
Exactly.
Or is this that we're gonna do this again 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last week. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. Um.
Because
We're all
all
suckers.
of us-
Is
Still,
what
still,
it is.
still,
Well, now
still
here's the
in,
thing.
still in plastic.
No.
Still in plastic.
Collectors.
See,
Uh,
I got mine for free though because
I got mine for free as well.
Because of Game Awards, going to the Game Awards. Is that why
Oh.
you got yours?
I don't
That's
know
why I got
what
mine.
promotion it was that I got mine for free. I think it was something like I bought some Google product, whether it be like, because it's all like my Nest thermostat, my Google Wi-Fi, like it's
Yeah.
all, or Nest Wi-Fi now.
See,
It's all, that's the ecosystem I'm using here.
We
So it's
have all
one of
Google
those.
stuff to our house too.
Yeah.
We have all the Google speakers and everything set up here.
see, you guys are fools because like I spent money on mine, but I'm getting my money back.
Yeah.
And
you are getting your money back.
and I have a collector's item that is completely useless unless you want a Chromecast Ultra.
Yeah.
Now,
Um,
I will say though with Stadia, at least when it launched, between Stadia and Game Pass, I think Stadia had like it felt better. To play.
No,
Like, it had
100%.
better
Agreed.
speed. Yeah, it was
100%.
way better. Now Game
Yeah.
Pass has gotten better, but
Yes.
Stadia actually had better like
And
connection.
I think even now it's still better in my opinion than what Microsoft offers.
all right. Speaking of Microsoft, you can now customize Xbox Elite Series 2 controllers in the Design Lab program. Microsoft said it's been players' #1 fan request for the program. The Microsoft starting price for a customized Elite Series 2 controller is $149.99, which is slightly more than the base $129.99 for an unmodified unit, and goes out with different add-ons. Now, Bilal and we were talking about this before. James, do you have an Elite controller?
No, but I have ordered a controller from the custom lab though.
Okay, yeah. So I've ordered a couple, like one for myself and then a couple as gifts for people.
Oh wow.
It is taking a lot of self-restraint for me to not go on here and start customizing a controller, especially considering that I already have the extra thumbsticks because I have one of these and I have the back paddles and all that stuff, and just having this as like a display. Not even like, I don't even know if I would play it. But this, I've been asked. I'm one of those people who have been asking for this for the longest time, since the Design Lab program first came about and Elite controllers were a thing. And so I don't know.
You can customize a lot. I just wish they allowed you to change the color of the grip.
Oh yeah, so that is the one thing that they are not. My guess is that it's because the it's just easier for them to get and cheaper for them to just get the grip. Like all those other components are probably cheaper and easier to make in the different colors.
Yeah.
And don't actually like affect the quality of it. I do wonder if getting different colors for the grips would actually change the quality of the grips themselves. Yeah, no, this is dope. I can't keep watching you do this because now it makes me want to go and mess around. If I mess around,
this is
I'm gonna find out.
This is the work print controller.
Right,
quickly thrown together.
Also, the New York Yankees controller, or I guess more like the Royals. All right, next bit of news. Sticking with Microsoft, coming soon to Xbox Game Pass.
My favorite story every other week.
Already available is A Plague Tale Requiem. Coming soon on October 20th is Amnesia Collection, Amnesia Rebirth.
Have you guys played those games?
Abyss, I have not.
I own them, but I've kind of played them, but haven't finished them.
Soma, and then coming on the 21st, which is this Friday, is Persona 5 Royal, which means that I will be starting this game again for the third time, hoping to actually get through it and play it.
So here's the thing with this version: it comes with all the DLC. So if you don't care about the combat or just kind of want to breeze through it, you can just in your room. There's like a little box you go through, and it'll give you all the DLC, all the costumes, and like high-powered broken personas that you can use to just like tear through the beginning of that game, maybe through the end game. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm doing that.
And so I'm doing that as well because I've already played 5, and I just want to experience the story in Royal. So
yes.
If you're looking for just like a fun, easy way to breeze through this, there you go. It also has cross save between Xbox and PC, which I'm really excited about.
So here's the thing I will say about Persona 5 and the Persona franchise in general is that I do enjoy the combat as someone who normally typically doesn't enjoy turn-based RPGs necessarily. But that's not why I enjoy it. That's not why I'm there. Mm-hmm. I'm there for everything else in that game. And so the idea that I can like hit this on easy and get game-breaking personas and kind of just run through the dungeons and not grind. I just don't want to grind.
Yeah.
Really is what it comes down to. And so
I think they also give you like $1 million right out the gate as well. So like,
right. Awesome.
Money's not an issue. So it's a big part of it. Like, did you play 5 at all, or it was just like the beginning of 5? You didn't touch Royal, right?
I didn't touch Royal. No, I played through the first 2 dungeons in 5, I think.
Okay, you'll notice when you play, if you remember 5 at all, when you play Royal, like the dungeons have changed. Like especially, I did the first one. They've changed. They've added new mechanics. The guns are actually useful. Like because like you ran out of ammo, and you're like, now what? These guns are useless, but you have ammo every battle now. So it's
awesome.
It's really neat.
Awesome, James. I know you mentioned that like just too many hours ahead. Right. Do you think there's any chance you download it and give it a shot, considering it is there on Game Pass?
I'm totally gonna download it. I'll probably download it, put a few hours into it,
Yeah.
And it'll probably end up in my backlog with everything else. But I know I'm gonna try it because I mean I've heard great things about it for a long, long time.
I'm gonna force
Alright.
everyone to do a Persona 5 Royal book club.
There you go.
Coming to on October 27th is another 3 games. Frog Detective: The Entire Mystery is coming to Game Pass PC. Signalis is coming to cloud, console, and PC. And then the one I am most excited for, besides Persona 4 Royal, is Gunfire Reborn. Have either of you played Gunfire Reborn?
Why does it sound familiar?
I've
Okay.
watched trailers for it, but I haven't played it.
So this released into early. It might still technically be early access on Steam and on PC. This is a first-person action roguelike RPG. So it kind of honestly, it is very much like it is a roguelike in the sense that you're going through these. As far as I can tell, the enemies are procedurally generated levels, although the level layouts might be the same. It has an aesthetic that reminds you a little bit of it's cell shaded, so it's very similar to like a Borderlands. Although I think their color schemes tend to skew a little bit darker as opposed to the lighter, almost pastel version that you see in Borderlands. And it's a roguelike in the sense that like you go through and every time you complete a run, you then get a currency that levels up your character and you get stronger. Then you're able to play it on higher difficulty levels and kind of just that loop over and over again.
This is on mobile as well?
I don't know if it's on mobile as well. I played it on PC on Steam, and then the moment I found out that it was coming to Xbox Game Pass, I stopped playing because this is a game that I can definitely convince some of the buddies to download and play on console who normally wouldn't sit down and play on PC, especially with it coming to Game Pass. Yes, it is. I'm telling you, we should stream some of this the day it comes out. I know we say that about a lot of games, but this one I'm 100% down to do and run if you guys are interested at all.
Anything in the DLCs?
Yeah, so
or perks?
No Man's Sky Waypoint update is available now. Sea of Thieves: The Herald of the Flame is available now. Let's see what is actually perks. There's an expansion pack for Sims 4.
Sandy 6 25th anniversary bundle.
Yep. Secret Neighbor Sportswear bundle. Speaking of Secret Neighbor, so I recently played some. I didn't mention during what I've been playing because I only played a couple matches, but I tried out Evil, which is on Game Pass now, which is another one of those like social deduction, Among Us type games, and actually found myself having a little bit of fun. So that's something that we should probably try out too. It's a little bit janky though, so I don't know quite if we should stream it yet. But
Oh, Slime Rancher 2 and Persona 5 Royal both get touch controls.
yeah.
Ooh,
That's
dangerous.
and honestly, for Persona 5 Royal, like touch controls will absolutely work in that game. And so I'm excited to give that a shot. So leaving on October 31st is Alan Wake American Nightmare, Backbone Bass Fishing 2022, Non-Guns Doppelganger Edition, Project Wingman, Second Extinction, Sniper Elite 4, The Forgotten City. Of all those games, The Forgotten City is an absolute must play in my opinion. Everybody should give that a shot and go through it. It honestly takes like, what is it, like 3.5 hours to beat? You beat it, right? Below?
I never even turned it on.
Oh, okay. It only takes like 3.5, 4 hours to play and complete. James, did you play it?
I did. Yeah, I did play that.
All right.
Mhm.
And so I think that you should give it a shot. Is that one of those ones that we talked about for Game of the Year that you hadn't played? I guess it is, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sticking with Microsoft. This one is... I don't know how I feel about this. So Microsoft is building an Xbox mobile store to directly offer games on mobile devices, challenging Apple and Google. The software giant first hinted at a next-generation store it would build for games earlier this year, but has now quietly revealed details of the plan in filings with the UK's Competition and Markets Authority. This is part of the whole, as we talked about earlier, the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. This is where this news came out, and it's part of the reason why they are going after this acquisition, because not only would they have Activision and Call of Duty Mobile, but they would also get King and all the mobile games that come from them. Now, here's the thing, that this is very possible because of the way that Android works for them to actually do something and put it out on Android devices. they still are going to hit a roadblock when it comes to iOS devices. And
Didn't the court
in
ruling go in Epic's favor on that in terms of like allowing other app stores?
I still don't think that they can straight up allow third party apps or are forced to allow third party app stores on iOS. Um, I don't know. I would have to look into that again. But here's my problem: is Microsoft has attempted many times to flesh out a mobile space for themselves and mobile gaming, right? And they have been unsuccessful time and time again. And I just now part of me is like, hey, if there's another place I can get Game Pass games on, right? Like, we already get cloud streaming and streaming through mobile on there. But if I can get locally downloaded games, mobile games, through their store, through Game Pass, like I am all for it. While I tend to have faith in them generally in the gaming space, I just don't have that much faith as far as like the mobile gaming space is concerned. Now, the idea that they are going to have, if this acquisition goes through, things like Call of Duty Mobile, all the King games, I think that changes it a bit. But I do think without that acquisition, this is a DOA and a no-go.
So the ruling back in September of last year was that the App Store must allow third-party payments.
Right. I think
But I don't think it said anything about third-party app stores. So like,
Yeah. So
Apple
that
can't
was
restrict. They can't restrict folks from linking externally. But yeah, this is gonna be
Yeah.
tricky.
So that was actually what that's what the whole snafu between Apple and Epic.
Yep.
That's how it started, right? Is that Epic was trying to allow players to buy V-Bucks through Epic to avoid Apple, so they didn't have to pay that cutout to Apple.
Yeah.
And so, but as far as having just a straight up third party store on there, I don't know how that's going to work out.
Imagine it was possible to just download like, let's say, 5 gigs of a game, and then you didn't run into latency, and you could like stream the visuals.
I mean,
That would be the dream.
yeah, I would love that. All right, next bit of news. All of us have PS5s, yes?
Yes. Wow.
I do not. No.
All right, well, since you don't, if you're in the market, God of War Ragnarok is getting a PS5 bundle. Sony posted a trailer on Thursday hyping the game on PS5 and announced that there is going to be a console bundle available on launch day as well.
It's not even themed.
It's not, and this isn't surprising. This is what they did with Horizon Forbidden West. Like, this is what they do here. I don't think we will see themed PS5s.
Just they do have the faceplates.
Because they have the faceplates and they can just sell you faceplates. So
sell me a faceplate, Sony.
Right. I think they're happy with just selling you the different colors right now. But yeah. This isn't surprising. They do
continue on without me.
Yeah, they do this with all their big releases. I've already got my PS5, so that's nothing for me. I do have my collector's edition pre-ordered. I am excited for this game. But I do think that it's kind of like, I think it's boring that it's just a plain PS5 with a game included. That being said, I believe it is cheaper to get the bundle because then you basically get the game for free. So that's nice. But yeah, what's not
It's hard
boring,
enough to find a PS5 right now anyway.
right?
So
I
then
think
to add the collector's
yeah.
edition as another SKU would just be.
So I will say things have gotten a little bit better. So Sony regular has their Sony Direct store, their PlayStation Direct store available, and they have consoles there. And it used to be that they were gone before you even got through the queue, and now they've been staying on, those bundles have been staying on there for a few hours to like half a day and stuff like that. So it is getting a little bit easier if you know what you're doing to get your hands on.
And you can find them in stores as well. Like my cousin called me a few weeks back, and he was like, "Hey, the Horizon bundle's here. Should I get it?" I was like, if you're interested in playing Horizon and other
Yeah.
PS5 exclusives, like hell yeah, like go ahead. If
Yeah.
not, then why would you want one?
I'll tell you what is exciting though is this PS5 DualSense Edge controller, which is launching early next year. We talked about this already. I love the idea of having a pro version of the DualSense controller because one of the things that third-party controllers like Scuff don't include is they don't have the haptic feedback that the DualSense does. So the idea that you can get a customizable controller that has hair triggers that also still has all the features that DualSense has is awesome. What's not awesome is the $200 price tag on this, especially considering where it seems like you are getting there's less pro features about this thing compared to say the Xbox Elite controller, right? Um, and so it feels once again like Sony pricing things because they believe they can get away with that price, and it not actually being because of the hardware itself, if that makes any sense.
I like to think of things now when it comes to like controllers and such as like how much of a Steam Deck is this? And this is half the price of a Steam Deck. And just like it's a controller.
Yeah.
I think if it came in at 150, great. 175, it's that like I shouldn't, but I want to.
Right.
I know it's only $25 more, but it sits
No,
right outside
it's-
that comfort zone.
It's weird if this came in at the same price as an Elite Series 2,
Which was 180.
180,
Yeah.
then like, yeah, all right, sure. I'd probably give it a rock. Not that I need one because I do have a Scuff. I do have, a bunch of normal dual senses.
And like the other thing that I really want to know about this controller is like how's the battery life compared to a regular DualSense? Because the DualSense is a controller that like if I like when I know when God of War comes out, I will have 2 to 3 fully charged controllers because by the time I'm done with that game, all 3 of those controllers would have died.
You know what the answer is? The answer is the controller is probably the battery life is probably less. Just because it has to make up some of the features that are on here, like the saving of the profiles and stuff like that. Like that stuff does take, and the programming, that stuff does take battery.
Yeah.
But it does include, and it depends. It's going to depend on how long that braided cable is. I don't know if this article says exactly how long it is, but that USB cable. So here's the thing. I don't mind having a controller plugged in because of the way that I play games, right? I am sitting not that far from the console and the TV. I don't mind having a controller plugged in. The cable they include in the with the consoles themselves is incredibly too short. So if this cable is
oh my god, that thing's like a 3-foot cable. Yeah.
If this is long enough, although this says that the included cable is just for charging, that the unit is still wireless. My guess is that just means that obviously it doesn't have to be wired, right? But if it's long enough and I can just keep it plugged in and play that way, then that's fine as well. All right. Now, our last story, we're going to switch over to Nintendo Land. And this has been weirdly...
Oh, man, this is a roller coaster.
Interesting drama.
Yeah.
So, Bayonetta 3 is coming out at some point in the near future. And we had already known, or there had already been hints and rumors that the voice actress Helena Taylor was not going to be reprising her role. And so she's come out and explained that developer Platinum Games' insulting pay rate kept her from voicing the character in Bayonetta 3. She posted a series of videos via Twitter on Saturday in which she detailed her reasons for turning down the role, claiming that Platinum Games gave her a final offer of $4,000 to voice the iconic role. Instead, Jennifer Hale will be voicing the role. Obviously, I think she's best known for being Mass Effect's Commander Shepard, and she's also Overwatch's Ash. She's done a ton of voice work, and she is taking over the role. Now, she came out and said that again, that $4,000 is was going to be was what she was offered, and she also described declining mental health and suicidal ideation after declining the role. Now, Platinum Games Kamiya appeared to respond to Taylor's allegation Saturday via Twitter that said, "Sad and deplorable about the attitude of untruth. That's what all I can tell now. By the way, beware of my rules." Um,
His response was not like at this point, like in this story, everyone is siding with Taylor on this. Like, how could you offer 4,000 for such an iconic role? Everyone was Team Taylor. And then Kamiya comes out and kind of just makes the situation worse. When I think it would have been better to just stay
to
quiet.
not say anything at all. Right.
Because
So-
you know Jason Schreier's on it.
Yeah, so we are gonna get to that. So Bayonetta 3 voice actor Jennifer Hale has responded to the discussion and has stated that she supports every actor's right to be paid well, and that she's advocated for this for years. Okay, so here's the full text of the statement. With regards to Bayonetta 3, as a longtime member of the voice acting community, I support every actor's right to be paid well and have advocated consistently for this for years. Anyone who knows me or has followed my career will know that I have great respect for my peers and that I am an advocate for all members of the community. I am under an NDA and am not at liberty to speak regarding the situation. My reputation speaks for itself. I sincerely ask that everyone keep in mind that this game has been created by an entire team of hardworking, dedicated people, and I hope everyone will keep an eye open about what they've created. Finally, I hope that everyone involved may resolve their differences in an amicable and respectful way. Now, I also saw a couple other voice actors come out in support of Jennifer Hale, who, of course, at this time is getting all kinds of awful messages, and has been saying that like, yeah, no, Jennifer's always been somebody who has like looked out for the community. And when I started out, I think it was Ashley Birch who said that like when she started off doing voice over in games, that Hale acted as like a mentor of sorts. And so then we had this new report from Schreier at Bloomberg, and it disputes Taylor's account of her negotiations with Platinum Games. Apparently, that developer reportedly offered Taylor somewhere between 3 to 4 times her stated payment of $4,000, while she reportedly asked for a 6-figure sum and residuals on the game. Taylor says that account of the negotiations is an absolute lie. Like, obviously, we may never actually find out what that final number is, but according to Platinum Games, they said that they were expecting to pay $3,000 to $4,000 for 4 hours in the studio, with at least 5 sessions guaranteed.
And
so
I
yeah.
can also say in regards to that is like on Resetera, there have been developers and people that have worked like they're verified accounts and they're like that's on the high end for voice actors. It might not seem like much, but right now in the voice acting community, that's very good pay.
I mean, that's also. I mean, not for nothing.
Yeah.
I understand that. Like, part of the problem with this is that
it should be better, but yeah,
and because you are such a huge part of the game, and these games make millions of dollars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it is the kind of work where like you have to have multiple roles a year, and yeah, the idea that like these games sell as well as they do, and then you don't get any money on the back end the same way that an actor does in a movie and gets residuals, like, should be better. However, we are arguing about something where somebody is making, $1,000 an hour, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And granted, that means that they're only working, 4 hours a day, and who knows how long, and what jobs they can take in between these sessions and stuff like that. Like, I don't know the ins and outs of that, but the bottom line is, we'll probably never find out what the actual amount was, but there's a huge difference between being paid $4,000 period and being paid $4,000 a session.
And like,
right?
and here's the thing, like Jason Schreier has a very good track record. He's writing for Bloomberg. It's not like a blog. He is writing for one of the most renowned media sites out there. Has confirmed it with two people familiar with the negotiations and reviewed the documentation that this is around. So it's not just like there's speculation of like what it was. He's seen tangible proof in regards to this. So it becomes a bit hard. I'm wondering if there was like something wrong with the agent or something, because like it does seem like they did reach out. After they got Jennifer Hill, they did reach out for like a guest cameo for one session, which is 4,000. And I wonder if that's where that misconception comes from Taylor's end. But like, it's hard to know without seeing that documentation. The entire situation just sucks from top to bottom.
It's funny kind of seeing the internet reaction to it, because when it first started happening, I was like, boycott Bayonetta, don't buy Bayonetta. Then this other story came out, and now they're saying that the pre-orders for Bayonetta have actually increased since the story shifted. So it's just kind of fun. Like within 24 hours, less than that, like it just all fell apart.
It's very interesting. It does make me glad that I didn't, after taking my 2 classes in college on voice and speech, I didn't pursue a career in voice acting. Instead, I podcast here for free, where I get paid nothing.
Excuse me.
Okay, actually, technically, thanks to generous viewers and stuff like that, and their Twitch subscriptions, we do get paid. We get paid. We'll say
we get paid on the low end of voice acting.
Pennies.
I think.
Exactly. I mean, we could buy an indie game. Call of Duty in April.
Yep. All right, that wraps up this week's episode. James, why don't you let people know where they can follow you?
Sure. I mean, I don't do a lot online anymore. Like I said, I used to do the Life Game podcast. That's kind of, gone now. But I'm still on Twitch and Twitter everywhere. Jamester0722. That's where you can find me.
Yeah, this is going to be the James Sans.
Yeah.
the Jamsons?
Yeah, the Jamsons. Bilal, where can people follow you and follow the site?
So first off, quick shout out to Kotaku, Polygon, and Bloomberg, and Verge for providing our sources for news. We should do a better job of calling and thanking them for their work.
I'm trying to be better about it when we're in the articles, actually mentioning where we're reading from and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because credit where credit is due. I mean, we're just a bunch of talking heads giving our opinions on other people's hard work.
Yeah.
But
so there's that, and then you guys are here listening to the Workprint Gamescast. The Workprint can be found over at theworkprint.com. We have a wonderful website, and we still got news from New York Comic Con going up. Is this the latest website? Look, I think it is. So we had the Poloni Show Halloween special interview up, as well as Koala Man, some more stuff from New York Comic Con, as well as seasonal recaps on La Brea and other shows. I think House of the Dragons reviews are going up as well. We got one more left there. Winchester's is being covered. Fun stuff. And then you can also follow us on socials on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch at The Workprint. Wonderful staff of writers. Everyone is great. Love those guys. And then for myself, on Twitter at Bilal_Mian. I will try to stream out some Mario and Rabbids this weekend. I'm gonna play Marvel Snap after this tonight. I also don't want to break. I also don't want to break Street Date. Streaming on Twitch and get the channel banned or something. But I have a legit copy. Here it is. It's not a pirated copy or anything.
I wonder how that works. I mean, you didn't sign an NDA. It's not like,
Yeah, it gets tricky, and it's not something I rather risk when we're in good standing.
Yeah. As for me, you can follow me at SunnyVice20, SUNNYVICE20, across all social media and game platforms, except for TikTok. on TikTok, I am at Tito's Tabletop. Titos Tabletop, the way you expect tabletop to be spelled. You can see me opening up packs of My Hero Academia cards. Soon, I will be doing some more board game centric content on there. And for those who watching the live stream, if you notice something a little bit different with my camera, although it still looks pretty great, if I'm being honest. Look at that, 249 views on my latest one. For me, that's impressive.
That was me about 100 times because the card at the end is really nice.
Also, I mean, I take great pride. I think I have some of the best card pack opening sound quality on these TikToks. And it's like my favorite thing about doing these. But yeah, so if you notice a little difference in the video quality, it's because I have moved my setup around so that I can make it much easier to actually do some board game stuff right here behind me. And some of those videos will go up on my personal channel, when I actually start doing that stuff, I will promote on here. But in the meantime, Bilal and I are hoping to actually get some up on the work prints and do some Twitch streams here. So make sure to have your notifications on for when I do that. I actually think that because my family has a lot of things going on this weekend, that I might have the house to myself for a few hours and might do like a midday weekend stream. And so we'll see if that actually comes about or not. As always, thank you so much, those who watch this live. Thank you for those who listen after. Come and follow the channel, subscribe, use your Amazon Prime subscription if you would like to support us and help us, increase our session rate. But also, like, I tend to try to put any money that we get from here back into the stream somehow. Actually, our latest payout, which I'm not going to disclose here, but was not a significant amount, is paying for a percentage of one of my booster boxes that I used to open up here.
I got a message from Rob today after I sent him his half of the thing. He's going, "Why did you send me money?"
It was also, I mean, like I said, the amount in and of itself, I saw it was just like what? Anyway, so yeah, so thank you guys so much. I still think the best way you support us is just come hang out with us, tell a friend, be advocates for us. One of the things that I want to do is actually change the name of my server and actually change it to just like the Work Prints Gamecast server, and then have it open for people to just hop in, and we'll make some channels in there. And so we can start building an actual community.
We should also schedule a night for My Hero. TCG.
Yes.
My box is in, so just need to set it up and we can play.
Yeah, I mean, let me know. I'm down to do something tomorrow or Friday night. We can figure it out.
I am seeing Black Adam tomorrow night, and I'm probably gonna regret it. So
Have fun, enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, and thank you, James, for finally coming back from the dead and joining us once again.
No problem. Had a good time.
Now, if we can get the ghost of Jen back.
I know. That is the ultimate prize, is to get one where all four of us are on together, and
That's right.
nobody gets a word in.
It will be it will be the final podcast. I will just be dragged for existing.
It's just 5 hours of us bashing Bilal.
Yeah. Hey guys, I made cupcakes. You Nazi! Like, what did I do?
Some of our past podcasts really did go. That's not too far off from what the reality of it. No, Bilal, thank you so much, man. Honestly, besides the fact that you take time out of your busy day with
I love this,
a very young child, but also, like, I mean, people. I was gonna say people don't see it. People who come for the pre-show do see it sometimes. But like, you are literally doing everything behind the scenes and keeping it running and keeping it looking as professional as it does. And it's one of the things that I take great pride in, is that it's the work that you do. So,
without me, this podcast wouldn't happen. But really, if that guy was out for a week, nothing would run.
No, exactly. Yeah. Honestly, if I had to do this by myself, it would literally just be the two. If it was me and James, it'd just be me screen sharing our Discord. Like, that's it. It would just be two boxes, us side by side talking. Forget about getting like the news articles popping up. You're just gonna have to listen to me talk about them instead of actually seeing them on screen.
And James, like, I've always had an open door policy with the work print of, like, with writers and friends that I was like, if life comes first, and I told this to the everyone at New York Comic Con for the site this year. I was like, life comes first. If you need to step away, you step away, and if you ever want to come back, that door is open. And I'm just glad you reached out. Even if you're not even writing anything, and you just want a podcast, like the door is always open. Yeah. So it really made me happy that you reached out.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And until next time,
Bye-bye.